Hey guys, it's Green Zephyr. I'm going to be going over the update 2.9 for Jurassic World Alive, the Tiny Flyer update. So first of all, I want to say that they do not announce a boost shuffle upcoming, and so everyone, including Game Press, are most likely idiots assuming that there won't be one. Well, that's what Ludia always does. They've never announced a boost shuffle event ahead of time with the release notes. They wait until everybody gets upset, and then when they have the next Advantage tournament, they announce the boost shuffle event, and then they're all like, "Oh, we're heroes. We did what the people wanted for once." So that's what they're gonna do. I mean, they might not have a boost shuffle, but they most likely will, because especially with the last time they made this many creature changes, they had a boost shuffle, whereas this time there's even more than the last time, and if they don't do a boost shuffle, that'd be kind of weird. But anyway, let's just get right in here. So, introducing Tiny Flyers. So yeah, we just have basically a bunch of small flying creatures. Anyway, so the new creatures, Silurosaurus. So this is the creature from Primeval Rex. So I think that's kind of cool, and it's going to be a flock in this game. So it is a cunning hit and runner. So it has absorb, obviously, because it's a flock, and then alert roost, alert the flock, distraction, and impact and run. So is that only 2 attacks? That's kind of sad. Okay, and Archaeopteryx. So there is going to be, it's going to be a flock too, and they're actually really adorable. And so I really like the design on these guys. Kind of like Deinonychus, but even more cute. Okay, so, and this one is a Cunning Distraction Dodger. So it has Absorb because it's a flock. And then Alert On Escape Evasion, Alert Buff and Strike, Evasive Impact, and Delayed Cunning Rampage. And then next we have Megalonyx, which everyone thought would be a Baryonyx hybrid, but nope, it's just a sloth. So this one is a Cunning Damage Reducer, and it has the same counterattack as the other sloth, Arematherium. So maximal counterattack, Cunning Strike, Camouflage, and Cautious Rampage, which I'm assuming that's going to be really powerful. And then Seal Host, which is going to be Silurosaurus with Host Eagle, and it's going to be a legendary. So it's a wild card, and it's going to have Absorb, Alert Roost, Precise Piercing Strike, Fearless Alert, Precise Impact and Run, and Resisted Group Distraction, which is what Skoonosaurus currently has, but they're giving Skoonosaurus a buff, and it's basically the same attack, but it's priority now, because it's the instant group distraction, or whatever they called it. It's farther down. Okay, new abilities. Cautious Rampage, just like Cautious Strike and Cautious Impact, but it's a Rampage. And then Cleansing Decelerating Impact. So that one just cleanses and then targets high speed, attack 1.5 times, reduce speed 50%, lasting 2 turns, cooldown of 2. Then Delayed Cunning Rampage, which is the same as Cunning Rampage, except it has a delay. Dang, a delay of 2? Yeah, never mind, because the normal one has a delay 1. Okay, so that one's, yeah, that's kind of bad, honestly. Evasive Wounding Strike, which is what Spino Constrictor is going to have now, instead of Evasive Stance. So self 50% chance to dodge 66.7% of damage for 4 attacks lasting 2 turns. Target highest damage, attack 1 times. Damage over time 0.2 times, targets max HP lasting 2 turns. Cooldown 2. Precise Impact and Run, so that's just Impact and Run, but precise. And here's what Skoonosaurus is going to have, Instant Group Distraction Impact. So yeah, it's the same thing it has now, except it's going to be priority and have a delay. Revenge Definite Rampage, so the same as Definite Rampage, but now it's going to have Revenge, so it doesn't have a delay anymore. And Alert Buff and Strike, so while secure, self cleanse speed decrease and critical hit decrease. Increase critical hit chance 25% for 2 attacks lasting 3 turns. Target lowest HP, attack 1 times. Then while threatened, self, cleanse speed decrease and critical decrease. Increase critical hit chance 35% for 2 attacks lasting 3 turns. Target lowest HP, attack 1 times. Then alert roost. While secure, self, 75% chance to dodge 66.7% of damage for 2 attacks lasting 2 turns. Increase critical hit chance 100% for 2 attacks lasting 2 turns. And then while threatened, self, 100% chance to dodge 66.7% of damage for 2 attacks lasting 2 turns. Increase critical hit chance 50% for 2 attacks lasting 2 turns. Alert on escape evasion. While secure, self, when opponent swaps, 100% chance to dodge 66.7% of damage for 2 attacks lasting 1 turn. While threatened, self, when opponent swaps, rally heal 33.4%, 100% chance to dodge 66.7% of damage for 4 attacks lasting 2 turns. Fearless alert. While secure, self, cleanse, increase speed 10% lasting 2 turns, 75% chance to dodge 66.7% of damage for 2 attacks lasting 2 turns. Target all opponents, reduce damage 50% for 2 attacks lasting 2 turns, attack 1 times. So that's basically Fearless Flap, except it doesn't have as good of a dodge chance, and then there's the different ability for threatened. So threatened, self, cleanse, increase speed 10% lasting 2 turns, 100% chance to dodge 66.7% of damage for 2 attacks lasting 2 turns, rally heal 33.4%, target all opponents, attack 1 times, cooldown 2. Okay, new raid boss, and I like how at the top it says new raid bosses, even though we know there's upcoming ones besides Megalonyx, but for this update, apparently this is the only one. So August 5th, we get the Megalonyx boss. Okay, new achievements. No harm, no foul. Place this creature in sanctuaries 13 times. Dodo. I like 13 times. It's kind of cool. 13 is my favorite number. I don't get why they chose 13, but I guess whatever. I don't know. What's improved? So AR improvements. This is going to be awesome. So, basically, they have the smart placement now, so basically it can be partially behind things. So like this in the photo, it's behind a door kind of, or I guess a wall, the door's on the other side. And so that's going to be pretty cool actually. So it's more realistic, and you can change the brightness. So like if it's at night, you can make it darker if you want, so it'll look like it's at night instead of it being all lit up like it normally would be. Or you can just make it bright for whatever reason. You can like make Parallax super bright, I guess. So that'll be in the little settings thing here, is what it shows. And then the new and returning player experience improvements. So basically just a longer tutorial to new players, and returning players will now receive news in their news center, recapping features they may have missed and offering advice on what to do next in the game. And then ability updates. So basically, the resilience get nerfed for no reason whatsoever. They say that the resilience were the problem. I don't think so. The problems were the cunnings. I fight 170 speed Magnas and Erlica Spikes and Erlidominus, and that's just, that's not how it should be. The resilience I fight are not a problem whatsoever. It's always the cunnings. I can't beat those cunnings because nothing I have is faster than them. My Erlidominus is 141 speed, and that doesn't compare to all those Erlica Spikes that can one-shot it. And Hadros was fine against them, but now since he can't slow them down, that kind of sucks, but it will apply the vulnerable at least and do slightly more damage. But while it's distracted, the normal rampage isn't going to be as good anyway compared to slowing it down. So in theory, all the cunning still win against resilience no matter what. I don't understand that. They, for whatever reason, thought resilience were the problem. They definitely are not. Anyway, so basically just vulnerable 2 turns, 2 attacks for the resilient, for the impact. Resilient strike for the impact and the rampage. And then swap in resilient strike, which I don't even know what creature has that. Anyway, that's the same thing. Vulnerable 2 turns, 2 attacks. And the counter attack also is vulnerable 2 turns, 2 attacks. So that's kind of sad too. Anyway, Well, and it will make Hadrus kind of awesome too, just because it's going to inflict extra damage against, like, if a Thor hits it, it's going to make it vulnerable. Although now it's only 50% reduction to, resistance to vulnerable instead of 100. So it's going to be slightly better. It will be able to hurt Thors a little bit, but I would like it to be 100%. 100% available to make it vulnerable. So, 0% resistance. And then creature updates. So here's basically everything. So for whatever reason, they were adjusting all these commons with things that weren't resilient related. So the vulnerability resistance is now 50% on Aloe, and then 100% on Archaeotherium, 50% on Dimorphodon, 25% on Majungasaurus, 50% on Nundasuchus, 50% on Purosaurus Gen 2, 50% on Sarcosuchus, 50% to Tarbosaurus, and Doedicurus gets a decelerating rampage instead of resilient rampage, just because they wanted them to still be able to slow things down. Kind of stupid that they thought about him but not the others. Entelodon gets 50% vulnerability resistance. Now we're into the rares, although we were with Doedicurus too. Anyway, Gorgosaurus 50%, Megalosaurus 25%, Purosaurus 50%, Tupindactylus 25%. Allosaurus Gen 2, 50%. Androtodon, 0%. Baryonyx, 75%. Concavinator gets a 10% critical chance now, and 25% vulnerability resistance. Intellichops gets 25% vulnerability resistance. Indominus Rex changed to 50% vulnerability resistance. Magisticurus, 75%. Paralux gets buffed big time, gets a counter power heal, which I didn't mention what that does, although it's just going to heal every time he gets hit, I guess. We don't know for how much, but it might be half of his attack. That would seem maybe okay, or maybe it'd only be 1/3 or 1/4, I don't know. Anyway, they increased its attack by 50, greatly increased its health, and then they gave it 50% damage reduction resistance. Scutophysion is now only 75% vulnerable resistant. Sculosaurus, 100% changed to 50. Triostronix, also down to 50. Antarctovinator, definite rampage changed to revenge definite rampage, so now he can do that turn 1 apparently if he has revenge. And they buffed his attack. Erlodominus is now even more able to be vulnerable, only 25% now instead of 50. Pukendactylus got buffed too. He got a distracting impact instead of a distracting strike, basically. And his attack was buffed, his HP was buffed, critical chance buffed, swap prevention resistance changed to 75, vulnerability resistance changed to 50, speed decrease resistance also changed to 50. Scunosaurus got a buff once again and got its instant group distraction impact instead of just the group distraction impact. And then Smilonemes got a delayed rampage and run like Phorosaura, buffed attack, buffed health, nerfed armor, and resistances. Its swap prevention was changed to 60%, and vulnerability decreased to 0. Spinoconstrictor got a buff for no reason. It was already strong enough. A bunch of people are saying, yeah, it's definitely awesome now. It's going to be way better. It was already good enough. Like, these people complaining about how it sucked, and now it was strong on its own. It didn't need more health. They could have at least changed it with the other stuff, but it didn't need more health. So it got more health, way more attack, and now it's stun resistant, which sucks because now Thor isn't going to do as good against it. And its speed decrease resistant is changed to 75%. Testacornibus. It now has a cleansing decelerating impact instead of the resilient, just because they wanted it to still slow. And then it has the counter power heal as well. And then attack is buffed, HP is slightly buffed, speed is buffed by 1, and armor is increased by 5%. And then Thor, they somewhat buffed it, but they also somewhat nerfed it. So the fierce impact change to group shattering impact now means that Mortem is useless in all raids because Thor will replace it easily and do much better. So I like that now. It means more people are able to do some of the apexes, even though like I was already able to beat every single one of them. But I guess it's easier now. We can use a Thor instead of a Mortem, and that Thor is going to hit harder than the Mortem, so that's a plus. So yeah, like I say, there's going to be no reason to use Mortem in any raids now whatsoever, since Thor can also hit turn 1 with an impact instead of a strike. And then its Rampage was changed to Fierce Rampage, which means it can now attack with its Rampage every other turn instead of every 3 turns. So that's, it's better for PvP and possibly raids, but we really needed that group shattering Rampage for a whole bunch of raids. It's going to change everything. Now all the Mortem strats will have to be doable, except replace Mortem with Thor, and all the Thor strats are just not going to be usable anymore. Anyway, and then also it has increased attack, lowered critical chance, and now it's, like I said earlier, it's able to be vulnerable. Utarenex got a buff for no reason whatsoever. Increased attack, increased armor, and increased critical chance. No reason whatsoever. Didn't need it. It was already strong enough. I don't think I've ever beaten a boosted Utarenex, only the unboosted ones that I destroy, because they're just too powerful. Some guy in the comments posting about his 4,500 damage hit on his Utarenex and 5,000 health, and he's like, oh, finally get the buff. Like, his was strong enough, it didn't need a buff. And of course, it is now even more damage reduction resistant. Sarah Magnus was nerfed for no reason. Sarah Magnus was perfectly fine the way it was. Hadros slightly nerfed. Doesn't matter much though. Same with Sarah. I mean, it doesn't matter too much either. Mortem Rex was nerfed. I'd say it's kind of a good thing, but even then, it's not too great, because Mortem's still awesome. Anyway, stun resistance changed to 50 instead of 75, and now he's able to be vulnerable, so Hadros will beat it. And then, that was the other funny thing. In the comments saying, some guy said that because of the Sarah thing, now that Mortem is stunnable more, that Sarah's going to destroy Mortem. They say that Mortem was the counter for Sarah. That's not true. Sarah destroys Mortem. One-on-one, Sarah would be a guaranteed win, because you can Rampage turn 1 and speed up on turn 2, and Mortem's dead. Unless Mortem gets a critical and happens to one-shot Sarah, which means it'd have to have extremely high damage to do that, unless they're both set to 26, but even then if they were... 26 no boost, Sarah would win. I don't see how Mortem is a counter for Sarah. Sarah is a counter for Mortem. Anyway, other improvements. We have 350 dart inventory instead of 140, and they increased the darts in the free daily incubator. So I'm assuming that that's going to go back up to 30, even though that's where it used to be a long time ago, but then they dropped it to 20. I mean, who knows, they might brought it up to 40. And then an option to disable vibration for new creatures spawned on the map has been added to settings. Then we have the bug fixes and known issues. So Scorpius Rex Gen 3 finally gets his horns, which is a good thing. And the bottom of the page will no longer display copyright string 2021 Google on Apple iPad Pro. And when looking at creatures in your collection, you can now scroll outside of the layout grid again. And then they're still working on the raid boss hitboxes are too large, which they've been working on ever since raids were added, so that's kind of sad that they can't fix that. And then some other stuff. Once again, they say raid invite push notifications are only in English. That is false. I get Spanish ones all the time. And the expired DNA donation requests, yes, that's annoying. And then the tooltip stats information are not updated as soon as the buff or debuff has ended in raids. That's the same for PvP. It's not just for raids. I guess they don't realize that. Well, anyway, that's pretty much it for the update. Just remember, there most likely will be a boost shuffle. They just haven't announced it yet because they like to outrage people. And then when they see everyone getting outraged, which they know will happen, then they swoop in to save the day saying, hey guys, we listen to you. There's going to be a boost shuffle. And then, they're the heroes of the day, even though, and then everyone sees them as heroes, even though that's what they wanted. Ludia sucks. Anyway, that's it for the video. And I hope you guys enjoyed, and I don't know what you think of the update. I guess you can leave that in the comments. Well, anyway, see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe.